Oh dear. Brace yourselves, this might be a long one. Enforcer Tactics Cards are the final touch of parade gloss and bullshine to your lovely new set of Altbergs, so if you've just opened the pack and thought, what now? Or you're here for some hostile recon on the Guardians of what passes for Law and Order and Necromunda, then look no further. In this video, I will go over what these tactics cards do, when to use them, what type of overall strategy they fit into, whether that's deterrence or destruction. There is a wealth of tactical options for you to consider. Some are sweaty if you fancy being that guy, and some are just great insurance options to keep your gang rolling, even after their last casualty roll does. So, if you find this information of use, or you have any of your own experiences to add, please consider doing the thing, or slap a comment underneath and let's keep the hive alive. Now, without further waffle, let's discuss the broad categories and overall strategy the cards fit into. Just like the gang itself, using coordinated fire teams to repress the rampant underhive rabble, using destructive or disruptive tactics, these cards will generally fall into these categories as well, which will enhance your shenanigans or help to plug tactical gaps. Worth noting though, there are some odd ones that fall loosely within the broad categories, but then diverge from there into something else. So to keep things simple, I'll call them out specifically in each category towards the end. First category of cards we're going to look at is the disruptive category, so get your servo skulls ready. Feel free to pause, skip, whatever it is you need to do, take some notes. If you've got the cards in front of you, that might help and you can organise them into these categories while we're going through them. So, first one of the disruptive tactics cards, in order of when we use them, is Shakedown. This gets used at the start of the battle prior to crew deployment. Tactics cards can very much urinate directly into the breakfast cereal of any gang that you are about to face, and with this tactics card you can randomly select an enemy fighter which will then not be deployed and will be delayed, arriving as reinforcements in the first round. Now, is this game breaking? No. Is it more annoying than the weird inner thigh chub rub that you get from going that first, oh it's new year, new me run? Very much so, yes, but remember, this is random, so could be a juve, but it could just as likely be a leader or champion, and then there's the 50-50 shot as to where you're going to deploy them, if you get to deploy them somewhere that's utterly useless and put them in line for slapping magnicals on them, or if your opponent gets to deploy them where they were going to leave them anyway. So the choice is yours. Next up in this category we have Pistol Whip, Grenade Requisition, Shield Bast, and my favourite card for disruptive shenanigans is Photon Flare Rounds, but we'll get to that when we get to it. All of these tactics cards are used after both crews deploy, but before the first roll for priority. So let's take a look at Pistol Whip first. Pistol Whip is only of use to fighters armed with a weapon with a sidearm trait, which already makes this a niche choice. Add into that, it's D3 random fighters that have the aforementioned weapon, and you can kind of see how this is already not the best of the bunch. However, Pistol Whip will give these lucky random fighters that have the sidearm weapon the concussion trait to use on that sidearm weapon, only in close combat. Now, like I said, I do like concussion for its -2 to initiative checks, but realistically, how much use is this in close combat? To me, this is meant to stack with the use of magnicals or someone charging in with magnicals after the opponent has been suitably muzzle thumped into oblivion, but the rules about how to use magnicals aren't exactly crystal clear. So clear it up with your arbitrator first before deciding if this card makes it into your deck or not, would be my advice. Next up is Grenade Requisition. In my opinion, this is a much better card overall for either leaning further into your disruptive gang build or providing a bit of tactical flexibility for more general use. This tactics card will let you select D3 fighters in your crew and equip them with both smoke and photon flash grenades. Das ist gut, especially against anyone who wants to shoot you off the board and or has low initiative. Squad players, I'm genuinely not even sorry for this, and same with you, Vansar. For those that might just be starting with Enforcers, you will need to make friends with Flash. This is the pinnacle of disruptions play, but be warned, you might be a bit of a donkey if you're going to spam this. What Flash does is it dishes out the blind condition in a 5-inch pie template, which means that an enemy hit by the thing has to pass an initiative check or be subject to blind, which means that they lose their ready marker for the turn, and if they're already blind and get hit by another Flash weapon and fail that initiative check, they lose their ready marker for the next round too. We're going to give this one a potential spiciness rating of 6.7 globules out of 10, but say it with me now. Praise be to Space King! The ultimate and lose your friends disruptive technology is Photon Flare Rounds. Look at it. Love it. Anyway, this tactic allows a weapon of your choice to gain the flash trait for the duration of the battle. Now, could one put this onto a subjugator with a heavy concussion ram? Yes. Could one thereafter enjoy a blast 3 concussion, knockback, seismic and flash wielding lose your friends machine? One most certainly could. Sorry, Duncan. This is where I think the card should almost always be placed, having the -2 initiative check causing auto-pinning blast weapon that also ruins the day of anyone under it by becoming blind. It would kind of be rude not to do this. However, remember that this card can be put on any weapon of your choice, meaning that you could, if you so wish, have a rapid fire 2 heavy stubber with it, dishing out literally blinding death to as many people as possible, providing of course they're all just as hard to hit as the first target with rapid fire. But still, this card to my mind is arguably one of the best cards in the bunch and can very much be used when you reckon you'll be up against the odds or simply want to lose as many pals as possible. You could even give it to a Lawbot with a Weber. Sounds terrible, right? Strength 5 template of Webby flash tacticalness, you say? Sign me up. But remember, kids, not all tactics cards are made of solid gold super shenanigans like Photon Flare Rounds is. Love it. There are some, much like Shield Bash, which we're going to cover now, which is certainly a card that there is. This one is used when activating a friendly fighter, but before performing any actions, and will give the fighter who has a weapon with the Assault Shield trait, that's difficult to say, Assault Shield trait, there we go. So, you use this when activating a friendly fighter before doing any actions, and the caveat being that they have to have a weapon with the Assault Shield. This Assault Shield will gain +1 damage, making it a damage 2 weapon for both of the stock shield options that the Enforcers come with and have access to. It will give it concussion, which hands out the -2 to the opponent's initiative check for the round, but other than the damage increase, I just can't find any significant use cases for the card. But again, it kind of depends how Magnicals are ruled to work in your gaming group as to whether or not this becomes very slightly better or not. Either way, I'll let you be the judge of this particular card, and if anyone has had any success with it, stick it in the comments. I am genuinely curious to hear how you've made it work. And here endeth the disruptive tactics cards as far as I can tell. They are mostly just okay, apart from the wildly good Photon Flare Rounds, and yes, I do cuddle it at night. We share stories with each other, sometimes we kiss. Right, enough of that. Moving on to the destructive category. There is more meat in this side of the tactics deck, but again, I'll go through them in order that they kind of come into play. The cards that I've put in this category are Emergency Deputisation, Running Battle, Maximum Suppression, Combat Drill, On My Target, Fire in the Hole, Quick Takedown, and Cut Off the Head. So these are my more destructive leaning cards. Emergency Deputisation comes into play after both crews are determined, but before deployment. This one is a very simple little force multiplier, and it adds a free enlisted hive scum with up to 50 credits of kit to your crew for this battle. And during the post battle, you can pay their credits value and have them permanently added to your gang. So generally, as an Enforcer player, you will be outnumbered, and to add to it, you will likely have high credit cost, kind of dense value miniatures, and that's going to up your gang rating, meaning that your opponent will have increased shenanigan access or more bodies to further outnumber you with. This card very slightly levels the playing field. Think of your deputised scummer as an even more disposable yeet shield juve. Put them in the line of fire, get behind them, force some checks before anyone can shoot anything that's actually important to you. This guy is the pinnacle of disposable. The man is a human ablative wound. Now, just because you should treat them as disposable doesn't mean that you can't make the most of them while they're alive. Use their 50 credits of gear to plug gaps that your gang has. Did we lean too far into disruptions play and only have concussion templates and forget that some stuff actually needs to die sometimes? Well, give that deputised scummer an autogun and let him loose. And much like Ivan Drago, if he'd die, he'd die. We don't care. He was free. Let him die. Next up in Destruction, we have Running Battle, Maximum Suppression, and Combat Drill, all of which are played after both crews have deployed, but before the first roll for priority. Running Battle will dish out the hip shooting skill to D3 selected fighters, so D3 selected, remember that, will get the hip shooting skill, meaning at worst you will get one fantastic skill on someone who can make use of the bloody thing, and hip shooting being from the shooting skill tree is, if you know Necromunda, shooting skills are amazing. This one will give these selected fighters the run and gun double action for this game, meaning that they can move up to double their move characteristic and then make a ranged attack. It will be -1 to hit, but if you slap it on a leader with a bolter, you have a dude that can run 10 inches across the board and get something inside that 12-inch range bracket of the Enforcer bolt gun to negate the -1 from using the skill, making him a mobile, bolter-wielding threat of psychopathy every turn to something that's within 22 inch. This is a massive boost to the threat range of Enforcers, who are generally a kind of mid to shorter range gang. This opens up a kind of different playstyle for Enforcers. This card is great, and I think it's as balanced as it can be. It's got actual benefit, and more importantly to me, it's very thematic to the gang. Similarly, Combat Drill will give D3 random fighters access to a random Palanite drill for the game. This card also has a lot of potential, but keep in mind that it is random skills to random fighters and only from the main Palanite drill skills. Listen to that bit again. Only the main Palanite drill skills, not the prefectures. Take it for what it is. Maximum Suppression, not to be confused with Cyril Figgis screaming, "Suppressing fire!" Maximum Suppression will give out additional 1 XP for the duration of the battle for taking an enemy out of action by using a close combat attack. Could you farm this like an evil skull cracking menace? Potentially. Is it just a nice extra kind of long game progress card to have access to? Definitely is. Utility of this card will largely depend on what your gang is geared for, who they're facing, what the scenario is that you're going to play. There is a lot of variables to line up, but when it works, it's great to have more XP for beating up scum like you were going to do anyway. And yes, this can apply to your robot dog. Who doesn't want a specialist good boy? Just putting that out there. Your results may vary. Now, on to something that is a mighty addition to the lethality of your gang. On my target, this comes into play after a friendly model has hit an enemy model with a shooting attack, before rolling to wound. For the duration of this round, all friendly models gain +1 modifier to hit rolls when targeting that particular enemy model. Use this on a sniper who has the marksman skill, and you can pretty reliably mark out something that just needs to die. Now, this next part is for arbitrators out there. This one can be abused if you let players argue semantics, so let's put it out there and let the arguments begin in the comments. And yeah, right. So the card reads, has hit an enemy model. Now, does this mean that a 5-inch blast template grenade has hit every model under it with on my target and they're all +1 to hit now? To my mind, no. Simply because it says an enemy, not any, not all, just an. So to me, if for talking's sake you use a blast weapon that targets a spot in front of a clump of enemies and somehow you hit, let's say the template covers 2 enemy models, you should randomly determine which one is the subject of the on my target buff due to the fact that you didn't specifically shoot at a model with the action, you shot at the floor. So unless you would really like +1 to shooting at the tiles on the floor, don't be an asshat and roll for a random fighter. Now, that being said, if you were aiming for a fighter with a blast weapon that subsequently missed and scattered off your intended target, hitting another target, then that model, whether you like it or not, is now subject to the +1 to hit, because as the card reads, after a friendly model has hit an enemy model, etc, etc. So hopefully that makes sense, kinda. Again, feel free to argue in the comments. I'll chip in now and again and probably not help the debate any, but here we are, the joys of YouTube, the joys of interactive media. So that's how I'd play it and how I would rule it as an arbitrator, but again, your results may vary. Speak to whoever your arbitrator is, and if you can't decide, then maybe have a fist fight to the death about your toy soldier game, or just, you know, be sensible and either put it to the rest of the group with, say, 2 options and go with mob rule. It's Necromunda. It was never meant to be fair. It's definitely not ever going to be balanced. Just try not to be a complete tool while playing with the tiny plastic toys, okay? Right. Moving on from that, we have Fire in the Hole. This comes into play when a friendly fighter declares a charge, but before moving the fighter. That fighter performs a free shoot action which has to be used to throw a weapon with a grenade trait. If the target of the charge action is taken out by this free grenade lobbing, or your active fighter is pinned, then this activation ends immediately. So, this card, I'd say the intent is to be thematic and fling a 9-banger at someone prior to storming in and giving them the good old "on guard" treatment. But there's nothing that says that you have to use the target of the charge action who has to be the same one for the grenade lobbing. So you could yeet a grenade at Badman number 1 and charge Badman number 2. This card, again, to my mind, is another force multiplier, meaning that you get to huck a grenade somewhere while charging, which is good times. You know, don't get pinned by your own grenade or something else happening to you on said charge, but still, good times. I like it. Another good flavourful card is getting the character of the gang. From there, we move on to Quick Takedown. This one comes before performing any actions. When you activate a fighter short version, your fighter may perform a free coup de grace action, which will default to making that enemy fighter basically be out cold. This is another one that I'm not overly sure of its uses, and it seems pretty niche or needs something else to back it up or stack with and kind of use it. I mean, you could use it to double move and coup de grace something far away, but other than that, I can't see much use for it, to be honest. However, imagine you use this and you also used your hip shooting thing with your super duper ultra bolted leader, and you moved 10 inch and free coup de grace the guy and then shot someone else. That is supreme action economy. But outside of that kind of overlapping combo of things, I don't think it's got much standalone use. Again, your results may vary. Let me know if you've used it successfully or any kind of niche uses that you can think of that don't require stacking. Let me know. So last of this bunch in Destructive Tactics is one called Cut Off the Head. It is a post-battle card and you play it at the start of the post-battle sequence, and it will give you d6 times 10 credits for each enemy fighter that you took out of action that has the gang hierarchy special rule. So leaders and champions for the most part. It's a nice wee credit generator to have, but you kind of need to be geared towards destroying stuff with your gang to make the most of this card. If you're more geared towards disruptions, you're probably not going to get much use out of this. So, with that said, that about covers the main categories of cards in the deck, but there are some oddball divergent cards from each of the 2 main categories. These are Prefecture Secondment, Preemptive Strike, HELMAWRS Insurance, and Precinct Dock. Again, I'll cover them in as close to gameplay order as possible, which means first up is Prefecture Secondment, which comes in after crews deploy, but before the first priority roll. With this card, you can select a friendly fighter. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. So, stick to the plot, you can do it. So with this card, you select a friendly fighter for the duration of this battle and they gain a skill from any prefecture. So if you've chosen, say, Palanite Prefecture, you could give your champ or leader or whoever you fancy a skill from, say, Poison Sea Prefecture or Minerva Prefecture, for example. Say Prefecture 7 times fast. Go, I'll wait. Did you manage? Try again. Anyway. It's a decent enough card, and it very loosely falls into the disruptive category of cards, but diverges from there due to how nichely disruptive it is. It's like a trap card from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, yes, my normal Robo-Doggo. Yes, he stays on a short leash. Surprise! Minerva Prefecture Secondment, son! I mean, it's pretty niche, but like I said, it does let you try some stuff out. Something to keep in mind: though, is that this card does not demand that it be a different prefecture from your chosen one. So you could have two Shield Companion Skilled Enforcers screaming about Sparta and being ludicrously high armoured when placed next to each other, or if you fancy some extra credits, maybe double dip into Priority Threat skill and get 2 servants of D6 times 10 credit cookie pie. The choice is yours, and it can definitely be a disruptive tactics card to play, but I wouldn't build a whole gang around it. Moving on to Preemptive Strike. This is also a divergence from kind of disruptive tactics cards territory. This one you play when an enemy performs a fight action that targets one of your gang before they roll to hit. Your fighter gets to immediately interrupt that attack with one single solitary all or nothing attack of their own at the cost of not being able to perform reaction attacks for that round. So again, it is disruptive, but it's a tad niche. So say you get charged by a super death blender ultra melee weapon, you could use this, hit with an assault shield and knock them back. As long as they don't have versatile, you could well have just saved your fighter from auto delete. It's high risk, high reward, but it is highly niche. The last two cards are pretty similar in that they're both post-battle, the first being HELMAWRS Insurance. This lets you add one mundane bionic to your gang's stash for half its credit cost, rounding up to the nearest 5 credits of course, and treating the availability as common. The second one of these cards is PRECINCT Doc, which gives a free medical escort post-battle action, doesn't need a fighter to perform it, and it is free! So, if you made me pick between these, I'd lean towards PRECINCT Doc just because it's freeing up someone to do something else post-battle, like get better guns. And a free trip to the dock is not to be sniffed at. So, in conclusion, hopefully you found something of use in this very brief overview, and if you agree or disagree, then let me know in the comments. Debate is a good thing, and if you haven't already, please consider doing the subscribe thing, but if you don't, it's cool, it's not a big deal. I just hope that you got what you were looking for to make your Enforcer gang and Necromunda in general a bit more fun and easier to wrap your head around. So, until next time, I will see you then. Bye bye!